The first thing I noticed was the dress. The second was the suitcase behind her. Claire Dawson stood in my doorway, wearing dark blue, one hand at her waist, the other gripping my doorframe. For almost 2 years, she had lived across the hall from me. We shared coffee, spare keys, bad movies, grocery runs, and enough Sunday mornings that half our building assumed we were together. We were not. I was 29. Claire was 25. And I had spent more than a year hiding what I felt because she had one rule. She would never date a man who lived close enough to knock whenever he wanted. Her last relationship had taught her what happened when closeness became control, so I never asked. Then she showed up in that blue dress and said, "What do you think?" I meant to say she looked nice. Instead, I stared until her smile changed. "Noah," she whispered, "why are you looking at me like that?" My secret was out. And I had no idea the suitcase behind her meant I might get what I wanted on the exact night I could lose her. If you believe honesty can change a love story, like, subscribe and tell me in the comments. Would you risk a friendship if silence meant losing someone you loved? I blinked. Sorry. You're still staring. I am trying not to. You're failing. Badly. A tiny smile returned to her mouth, but her eyes stayed serious. Is it bad? What? The dress. No. God, no. That sounded convincing. You look... I stopped, because every safe word I could think of felt insulting. Nice. Great. Elegant. Fine. Claire waited. I exhaled. You look incredible. Her expression changed, not dramatically. Claire never gave away everything at once, but the teasing disappeared, and for a second she simply looked at me. Then she said very quietly, "There it is." My stomach tightened. There what is? That look. What look? The one you keep pretending you don't give me? I felt heat rise into my face. Claire stepped into my apartment and closed the door behind her. Only then did I look past her shoulder again. The suitcase sat outside her apartment across the hall. Black carry-on, handle extended. What's with the suitcase? Later. Claire, first you answer me. Answer what? She folded her arms. Why have you spent almost 2 years acting like I'm just the woman across the hall when you look at me like that? The room went still. Outside, rain tapped against the hallway window. Somewhere below us, the old elevator groaned between floors. Inside my apartment, the woman I had been trying not to love was standing 6 feet away, asking me to explain why I loved her badly enough that apparently my face had become a witness for the prosecution. I tried humor. Maybe I really appreciate formal wear? Don't. The word was soft. That made it worse. Claire stepped closer. You always joke when you think the real answer might cost you something. I looked at her. She was nervous too. I saw it now in the way her thumb rubbed the side of her hand. The way she kept taking a breath and stopping herself from saying more. You told me you don't date neighbors, I said. Her eyebrows lifted. That was almost 2 years ago. You sounded serious. I was serious. Exactly. I was also coming out of a terrible relationship. I know, people can change their minds. Boundaries are not invitations to negotiate. Her face softened so quickly it almost hurt. You really believed that? Why wouldn't I? Because most men hear a boundary and start looking for loopholes. I wasn't going to do that, I know. Then why do you look angry? She laughed once, but there was no humor in it. Because you listened to the one sentence that kept you safe and ignored everything I did after it. I stared at her. Claire began counting on her fingers. I bought coffee from your place, even though it was out of my way. I came over every Sunday. I asked you to hang shelves I could hang myself. You said your drill was broken. It wasn't. I was flirting. That may be the least efficient flirting I've ever experienced. You still built the shelves. I thought you needed them. Despite myself, I smiled. Claire did too, but only for a moment. Then she said, "I've been waiting for you to say something for 8 months." My smile vanished. 8? Maybe 9. Claire, I know. 9 months? Don't make me regret this. I could have been dating you for 9 months. You could have asked me out 9 months ago. Dating would still have required me to say yes. Would you have? She looked straight at me. Yes? That answer rearranged the last year of my life. Every breakfast she had stretched into an hour. Every time she had stood in my kitchen and looked at me as if she was waiting. Every night I had walked her 6 feet back to her own door. Told myself I was doing the right thing. And gone to bed wishing I had been brave enough to do something else. I rubbed a hand over my face. You're telling me this now? No. I'm asking you something now. What? She stepped closer until there was barely any space between us. Do you want me? Every instinct I had built around caution told me to slow down. Every honest part of me was tired of caution. Yes, her breath caught. I kept going. I have wanted you for longer than I know how to admit without sounding pathetic. Try me. Last Christmas. That's not pathetic. Possibly before that, still not. The night Juniper had emergency surgery. Claire's expression softened. That was 14 months ago. I told you this was going badly. You sat with me in that veterinary waiting room for 6 hours. You were scared. You canceled a client meeting. I rescheduled. You brought me crackers because I hadn't eaten. You hate vending machine pretzels. I was in love with you by then. The words escaped before I could edit them. Claire went completely still. So did I. I had not planned to say love, not tonight, not first. But there it was, too large to put back. I mean, no. Her eyes shone. Do not take that back. I swallowed. I wasn't going to. Claire looked down for a second, then back at me. I don't know if I'm there yet. I nodded immediately. Okay, but I'm closer than I should be after one official conversation. A laugh broke out of me. That sounds more promising. It is. She looked at my mouth. I looked at hers. For one suspended second, I thought she was going to kiss me. Instead, she took my hand. Come with me tonight. Where? The Alder Foundation Gala. I had heard about it for weeks. Her company sponsored an annual fundraising dinner for affordable housing projects around Oregon. You already have a ticket? I have 2. Who was the second one for? Claire hesitated. That should have warned me. For whoever I was brave enough to ask. My chest tightened. Claire, come with me. As your neighbor? She shook her head. As the man who just admitted he has been in love with me for over a year. I laughed nervously. That feels like a very aggressive first date title. Then give yourself a better one. I looked at her. What do you want me to be? Her answer came without hesitation. My date. The word hit harder than it should have. I squeezed her hand. Give me 10 minutes. Her smile returned. 7. We're already late. As she turned toward the door, my eyes landed on the suitcase again. Claire. She stopped. The suitcase. Her shoulders stiffened. What about it? Why are you packed? For the first time that night, she looked away from me. And in that small movement, joy made room for fear. I'll explain after the gala. Are you leaving Portland? She did not answer immediately. That was answer enough. Claire, she looked back at me. Come tonight, she said. Please. After the speeches, I will tell you everything. I should have demanded the truth right there. Instead, I looked at the woman in the blue dress, at the suitcase waiting outside her door, and at the possibility that I had finally told her how I felt on the exact night I might lose her. 7 minutes, I said. Claire nodded. Then she crossed the hall, and for the first time in almost 2 years, the distance between our doors felt enormous. The gala occupied the top floor of a renovated warehouse overlooking the Willamette River. Glass walls reflected the city lights. A jazz trio played beside a wall of windows, and waiters moved through the room with trays of champagne that seemed designed mostly to give nervous people something to hold. Claire worked as a communications manager for Calder and Rowe, an environmental design firm that partnered with the Alder Foundation on affordable housing programs. I restored furniture and built custom pieces out of a workshop on the east side. Her professional world had name tags, donors, grant language, and people who knew how to wear suits without touching the collar every 30 seconds. Mine had sawdust. Claire noticed me adjusting my tie for the 4th time. Stop. I can't breathe. You can breathe. This thing is a decorative noose. She reached up and straightened it. My hands settled automatically at her waist, then froze. Claire looked down at them. I started to move away. She caught my wrist. You're allowed. 2 words, another door opening. I let my hands stay. She smiled. Then she took one of them and laced her fingers through mine. The gesture felt more intimate than a reckless kiss. Holding hands meant letting people see. I looked at her. Still sure? About bringing you? About this. Claire squeezed my hand. Yes. The first person we met was Maya Chen, Claire's closest friend at work. Maya had met me twice before and had spent both encounters looking at me with the expression of a woman studying a puzzle whose answer annoyed her. Her eyes dropped to our joined hands. Then she looked at Claire, then at me. Finally. Claire groaned. Maya. I stared at her. Finally? Maya's smile widened. You didn't tell him. Tell me what? Nothing, Claire said. She talks about you constantly, Maya said. I do not. You once spent 4 minutes describing a bookshelf he built. It was walnut. Maya looked at me. Was it a very special bookshelf? It had adjustable shelves. Scandalous. Claire pointed toward the bar. Go away. Maya laughed and leaned closer to me. For the record, I told her 6 months ago you were in love with her. Maya. What? He was. I felt my ears go hot. Maya walked away before Claire could murder her. I turned slowly. 6 months? Claire took a glass of sparkling water from a passing tray. People speculate. People formed a timeline. Apparently, you knew she thought I loved you? Claire took a sip instead of answering. That's a yes. She also thought our accountant was secretly engaged to a city councilman. She is not always reliable. Was he? Yes, but that is beside the point. I laughed. For a little while, the evening became unexpectedly easy. Claire introduced me to coworkers. I met Evelyn Price, her department director, who shook my hand and said, "So this is Noah," in a tone that suggested my existence had been discussed in staff meetings. Claire's cheeks turned pink. I enjoyed that more than I should have. And how should I introduce you? Evelyn asked. Claire looked at me. It was not a trap. It was an invitation. Earlier that night I would have hidden behind ambiguity. Friend? Neighbor? +1? I was tired of being careful in ways nobody had asked me to be. I'm her boyfriend, I said. Claire went still. My confidence disappeared instantly. I lowered my voice. Too fast? Her smile answered before her words did. No. Evelyn laughed. Good. That saves the rest of us from another year of watching this. Does everyone know? I whispered. Claire elbowed me, but she did not let go of my hand. For 10 minutes, I believed that the night had become the beginning of something easy. Then the lights dimmed. Evelyn stepped onto the stage and Claire's fingers tightened around mine. "What's wrong?" "Nothing." It was not convincing. Evelyn welcomed the donors, thanked the partner organizations, and spoke about the foundation's expansion into national community projects. Then she smiled toward our side of the room. "And tonight we are celebrating one of Calder and Rowe's own." Claire stopped breathing. I felt it. Evelyn continued. "6 months ago, our company nominated several employees for the new National Community Engagement Fellowship, a 9-month program based in New York, with project assignments in 5 major cities." My stomach dropped. Claire stares at the stage. Hundreds of candidates applied from across the country. 3 were selected. I slowly turned toward her. "Claire?" She did not look at me. Evelyn smiled wider. "One of those fellows is Claire Dawson." The room erupted. Applause. Cheers. Maya shouting something from 3 tables away. I heard all of it as though I were underwater. New York. 9 months. Claire's hand was still in mine, but suddenly all I could see was the suitcase outside her apartment. The applause continued. Evelyn lifted her glass. "The fellowship begins in 3 weeks. We will miss Claire in Portland, but New York is getting one of the strongest advocates our team has." 3 weeks. I let go of Claire's hand. I did not mean to. At least I told myself I did not. Her fingers slipped from mine. She turned immediately. "Noah, you got a fellowship in New York. I was going to tell you." "When?" "Tonight." "When tonight?" Her face tightened. "After the announcement." I looked toward the stage, then back at her. "So the suitcase is what? Practice? My sister's borrowing it tomorrow. I was taking it downstairs after the gala." I stared. Claire closed her eyes for half a second. "I know how that looks." "Do you? Please don't do this here." She was right. People were already turning toward us to congratulate her. This was her achievement. Whatever I felt, I had no right to contaminate it. I forced a smile. "You're right. Noah, go. I'm not asking you to disappear. I'm not." That was only partly true. For the next 15 minutes, people surrounded her. I stayed close, smiled when expected, and watched Claire receive praise she had earned. Every mention of New York scraped against the happiness I had felt minutes earlier. Eventually, Claire touched my arm. "Come with me." She led me into a quiet hallway near the coat room. The second the ballroom doors closed behind us, I said, "Have you accepted?" "No." I stopped. "What?" "I have not formally accepted." Evelyn made it sound final. She assumed. "When do you decide?" "Monday at 5. It was Friday night." "You've known for how long?" 2 weeks. I laughed once because anger was safer than hurt. 2 weeks? I know. We had coffee yesterday. I know. You spent Tuesday night in my kitchen complaining about Juniper destroying your basil plant. I know. You had opportunities. So did you. The words came out sharp. I stared at her. Claire immediately looked regretful. That was unfair. No, it was true. She folded her arms over herself. I applied 6 months ago. Why? Because it is one of the best programs in my field. That's not what I mean. I know. She looked down the hallway. When I applied, I was completely convinced nothing was ever going to happen between us. That hurt in a different way. You applied because of me? No. I applied for myself, but you were part of why leaving felt possible. I said nothing. Claire continued. I have worked at Calder and Rowe for 4 years. I love the work, but I am stalled. This fellowship would put me on national projects, housing policy campaigns, community partnerships. It is exactly the kind of work I want to grow into. Then take it. The sentence left too quickly. Claire stared at me. I knew immediately I had said the wrong thing, but I did not understand why. That's all? What do you want me to say? I don't know. Something real? That is real. You should not give up a career opportunity because the man across the hall finally figured out how to speak. Her face closed. There you go again. What? Deciding what I should do, so you never have to admit what you want. I just admitted what I want. No. You admitted that you have feelings for me. That is not the same thing as asking for a place in my life. My pulse climbed. I am not going to ask you to stay. I didn't ask you to. Then what are we arguing about? Claire stared at me for a long second. Whether you would care if I left. Of course I would care. How much? The question terrified me because I knew the answer. Before I could force it out, a man's voice came from the other end of the hallway. Claire? Her entire body stiffened. I turned. He was tall, early 30s, dark suit, careful posture. He stopped at least 10 feet away from us. I knew who he was before Claire said the name. Daniel. Her ex. The reason for the rule I had treated like law. Daniel's gaze moved to me. You must be Noah. I did not like that he knew my name. Claire noticed. Daniel's consulting firm is one of the fellowship sponsors, she said. Another piece clicked into place. You knew he would be here? I knew he might. Daniel looked uncomfortable. I'll leave you two alone. Claire gave him a cold nod. He walked away. No threat, no smug comment, no attempt to reclaim her. Just his existence. That should have calmed me. Instead, fear found a new target. I looked at Claire. Did you ask me here because he was coming? Her eyes widened. What? Did you need a date because your ex might show up? The hurt on her face appeared before the anger. No. You knew he would be here. I knew there was a chance. And you knew you were being announced for a program his firm sponsors. Yes. None of this seemed worth mentioning. I was going to tell you. You keep saying that, because it is true. Was I your date, Claire, or insurance? Silence. The second the words left me, I wanted them back. Claire's face went pale. Leave! Claire, you wanted an answer. There it is. I didn't mean you did. She stepped away from me. You know enough about what Daniel did to understand why that question is ugly. I know. No, you don't. Her voice shook now. I would rather walk into a room with him alone than use someone I trust as a shield. I had no defense. She looked at me with bright eyes. This night mattered to me before you knew about the dress. I swallowed. And you mattered to me before Daniel walked into this building. That sentence broke something in me. I'm sorry. Claire nodded once. Not forgiveness. Acknowledgement. Then she turned and walked back into the ballroom. I stayed in the hallway for another minute. I could have followed. I could have apologized better. Instead, shame convinced me that giving her space was the respectful thing. Again, I left the gala alone. At home, her apartment door was dark across the hall. The suitcase was gone. For the first time that night, I realized she had told the truth about it, and I wondered how many times I had mistaken my fear for evidence. I did not sleep. At 2 a.m, I stood barefoot in my kitchen eating cereal from the box and replaying the hallway conversation until every sentence sounded worse than the one before it. At 2:17, I texted my older sister, Mara. You awake? 20 minutes later, she knocked on my door, took one look at me, and said, Claire? I told her everything. The dress, New York, Daniel, and the accusation that had made Claire tell me to leave. When I finished, Mara folded her arms. You messed up, I know. Badly. I was hoping for comfort. You called the wrong sister. I sat on a stool. I thought maybe she invited me because she knew Daniel might be there. Maybe having you there did make her feel safer. That's what I thought. That does not mean she used you. I know. Do you? I looked at her. Mara leaned against the counter. You keep calling what you do respect. It is respect, some of it. What is the other part? Fear wearing a decent shirt? I frowned. She continued. You did the right thing when Claire told you she did not want to date a neighbor. You did not pressure her. Good. But after that, she spent months moving closer, and you never once risked asking whether anything had changed. I didn't want to make home uncomfortable for her. And that is noble enough to sound convincing. Meaning? Meaning you were also terrified she would say no. I looked away. Mara knew she had me. Then tonight, she said, you found out she might leave. Instead of saying, I want you to stay because I finally got you, you told her what was best for her. I didn't want to manipulate her. Wanting someone is not manipulation. Trying to affect their decision can be. Of course, you affect her decisions. She affects yours. That is what relationships do. I stared at the cereal box. Mara's voice softened. Dad leaving? Taught you something stupid. My shoulders tightened. Our father had left when I was 17. No dramatic confrontation, no affair we knew about. He simply decided he wanted another life and moved 2 states away. My mother spent years pretending she was fine. I spent years becoming the opposite of him. Reliable, predictable, useful, never demanding, never the reason anyone had to give something up. You think this is about Dad? I think you decided loving someone means making sure they never have to inconvenience themselves for you. That sounds better than the alternative. Not when it means you never ask them to make room for you. I was quiet. Mara picked up the cereal box and took it away from me. What do I do? Apologize. I already said sorry. You apologized because the fight hurt. Apologize for the thing you actually did. And then? Tell her what you want. What if she still wants New York? Then she wants New York. What if she thinks I am asking her to choose me? Then make sure you are not. Mara headed toward the door. That is incredibly vague. You're 29. Figure out a sentence. She opened the door, then turned back. And Noah, yeah? Do not make some dramatic speech about how she should sacrifice her dream for love. I wasn't planning to. Good. Ask for a relationship, not surrender. After she left, I sat in the dark kitchen until sunrise. At 8, I knocked once on Claire's door. No answer. I did not knock again. I texted her, I owe you a real apology. No excuses. I will be home whenever you're ready. Then I waited. By noon, waiting inside my apartment had become unbearable, so I went to my workshop and failed to concentrate. At 3:17, my phone buzzed. Roof. 5 minutes. Our building had a rooftop terrace mostly used by smokers and tenants with unrealistic expectations about Portland weather. Claire stood near the railing in jeans, boots, and a tan coat. No blue dress. Hair tied back. No makeup that I could see. She looked more like the Claire I knew. That made me more nervous. I stopped several feet away. Thank you for coming. I live here. Right. Her mouth almost twitched. I took a breath. I accused you of using me because I was hurt. Claire said nothing. I found out you might leave 3 weeks after I finally admitted how I felt. Then I saw Daniel and let my fear turn you into the person doing something wrong. Her gaze stayed on mine. I know you did not invite me as a shield. She looked toward the city. I did know he might attend. I believe you. I should have told you. Maybe, but I was still wrong. Claire rubbed her hands together against the cold. I almost did not go to this gala. Because of Daniel? Partly. She looked at me. That was part of why I bought the dress. The dress? I wanted to wear something because I liked it. I waited. Claire leaned against the railing. Daniel always had opinions about what I wore, nothing that looked outrageous from the outside, just comments. That skirt gets attention. That color is too much. Why dress up if I'm not going with you? My jaw tightened. She noticed. Do not turn this into wanting to hit him. I wasn't. You were, a little. I don't need that, I know. And I did, she continued. By the end, I checked his face before I checked a mirror. The wind pushed a strand of hair across her cheek. When he moved into my building, I thought it was romantic. Then he started keeping track of when I came home. If my car was there, who visited. He would knock if I did not answer a text. The neighbor rule made sense in a deeper way than it had before. When I moved here, she said, I needed my apartment to belong to me. I needed to know a closed door meant closed. I nodded. And then I met you. Poor timing. That earned a small smile. You always knocked once. What? When you came over. I thought that was normal. It should be. She looked down, but after Daniel, normal felt unusual. The words landed quietly. You never knocked twice if I did not answer. You never used the spare key unless I specifically asked. You never treated knowing me as permission to enter my space. Claire looked back at me. That is why I trusted you. My chest tightened. And eventually, that is part of why I fell for you. I forgot the cold. You fell for me. Do not make me repeat every vulnerable sentence. I would like that one repeated. No. I smiled despite everything. Claire continued. The problem was, by the time I realized it, the fellowship application was already in. When did you apply? 6 months ago. I thought leaving might help me stop waiting for something that was never going to happen. I swallowed. The blue dress was your last attempt. Her expression gave me the answer. I told myself I was only asking your opinion. You came over to make me react. I wanted to know if I had imagined it. What would you have done if I had said, looks nice? She looked past me toward the skyline. I would have gone to the gala. On Monday, I probably would have accepted New York. The truth hurt because nobody had done anything wrong. We had almost lost each other through silence. I moved closer, but not close enough to touch her. Claire, she looked at me. I don't want you to leave. Her eyes changed. I forced myself not to soften it. I know that is not the same thing as asking you to stay. I do not know whether New York is right for you. But if you go, I will miss you every day. Her lips parted. I want to date you. She gave a small, shaky laugh. That is a remarkably basic statement after all this. I am learning clarity. Keep going. I want to date you if you stay. I want to date you if you go. She stared at me. I don't want the convenient version where nobody asks anything of anybody. I want the version where we have to tell each other when something matters. My voice shook, and for once I let it. I want a place in your life, not control over it. Claire's eyes filled. How much of a place? As much as you are willing to give me. She looked at me for a long second. Then she stepped forward. That is the first intelligent thing you have said in 24 hours. High praise. Her hands caught the front of my coat. Then she kissed me. There was no music, no sunset, no audience, just cold wind, gray sky, and nearly 2 years of restraint disappearing in one breathless moment. I had imagined kissing Claire often enough to know imagination had been useless. Reality contained details I had never guessed. The way she smiled against my mouth. The way her fingers tightened when I touched her face. The tiny laugh that escaped when I nearly stepped backward into a planter. When we pulled apart, she rested her forehead against mine. That was 9 months late, I know. Maybe 10. Do not abuse the moment, she laughed. Then her phone buzzed. Claire checked it. Her smile vanished. What? She handed me the screen, an email from the fellowship office. Her project team had been assigned an outside advisor, Daniel Mercer. I looked at her. She looked back at me. I cannot do this, she said. My first instinct was immediate. Then don't go. I almost said it. Instead, I asked, what do you want to do? Claire looked surprised. The surprise told me how much I still had to learn. We went downstairs to her apartment. Juniper, her orange cat, climbed into my lap while Claire opened her laptop. The email was simple. Daniel's firm sponsored part of the fellowship, and he had been assigned to advise her project team during the first quarter. Claire stared at the screen. If I ask to change teams before I even start, I look difficult, or you look like someone identifying a conflict. He is respected professionally, then keep it professional. She looked at me. So you have a prior personal relationship that makes the reporting dynamic inappropriate. You do not have to disclose everything. Claire was quiet. I added, that is just my opinion. You decide. She smiled faintly. You're trying very hard. I have been told I am exhausting. You were told you are afraid. Also true. Claire drafted the email herself while I sat across from her. At 6:20, she sent it. When Evelyn called 20 minutes later, Claire took the call in her bedroom. I stayed in the kitchen. 10 minutes later, she returned. Evelyn said I did the right thing. And the fellowship? The director's reviewing the assignment Monday. How do you feel? Like I may throw up. Reasonable. Claire sat beside me. Daniel used to tell me I was too sensitive whenever I objected to something. I looked at her. So eventually I stopped objecting. You did not today. No. She looked toward the laptop. Maybe that is why it feels worse. Whatever happens next belongs to me. I took her hand. That sounds terrifying. It is. I'm proud of you. Claire glanced at me. You're allowed to say that. I checked. With whom? My legal team. Your legal team is Mara. She bills aggressively. Claire laughed and leaned her head against my shoulder. On Monday morning, the fellowship director reassigned Daniel without argument. Claire deleted his brief acknowledgement and moved on. I felt relief more than victory. Our relationship did not need him to become a villain for her boundaries to matter. The harder decision remained. New York. At 4:42 Monday afternoon, Claire walked into my workshop. I knew before she said anything. You accepted. She nodded. The pain arrived right beside pride. I put down the sanding block in my hand. Congratulations. She searched my face. Are you sure? No. That surprised her. I walked toward her. I am not sure about any of this. I know I will hate you being 3,000 miles away. I know I will hate not hearing you knock across the hall. I know I will probably become personally hostile toward airline pricing. Claire's eyes shone. But I am sure I want to try. What if we fail? I took her hand. Then at least we fail at something we were brave enough to have. A tear slipped down her cheek. I wiped it away. 9 months, she whispered. 9 months? 3 weeks until I leave? I almost said, then we have 3 weeks left. Claire shook her head before I could. No countdown. What? I do not want to spend 3 weeks rehearsing goodbye. She stepped closer. We have tonight. Then tomorrow. Then the day after that. I smiled. Tonight. And that became our rule. Not forever. Not until she left. Today. The 3 weeks before Claire left changed us faster than the previous 2 years. Coffee became breakfast. Movie nights became dates. And we finally discussed marriage, work, home, and what each of us feared inside a relationship. The night before her flight, we sat on the floor of her nearly empty apartment eating Thai food from cartons. If this gets too hard, Claire said, I do not want us trapped by promises we made during the most emotional month of our lives. I agree. She blinked. You do? Yes. Let's not promise nothing will change. I turned toward her. Promise we will tell the truth when it does. Claire held my gaze. I can promise that, so can I. The next morning I carried her bags downstairs. At the curb, she hugged Maya, kissed Juniper goodbye for the month he would stay in Portland, then turned to me. I had prepared a speech. Every sentence disappeared. Call me when you land, I said. Claire smiled through tears. That is your speech? I have more. I am trying not to become the man crying beside a Subaru. She stepped into my arms. Tell me one thing you are still afraid to say. So I did. I love you. She held me tighter. Then she pulled back, kissed me, and whispered, I love you too. Long distance was awful. There were no magical montages in real life. There were delayed flights, 12-hour work days, calls made from grocery store parking lots, and nights when one of us was exhausted while the other desperately needed to talk. 6 weeks in, I missed a video call by 2 hours because a client emergency kept me at a job site and my phone died. When I finally reached Claire, her eyes were red. I know things happen, she said, but sitting 3,000 miles away, wondering whether I matter more to me than I do to you, brings back every month I spent waiting. I started to promise it would never happen again. Then I stopped. What do you need? Evidence. So we changed things. Shared calendar, backup numbers, short voice messages when a full call was impossible, plane tickets bought before fear could turn them into excuses. We became less romantic in theory and much better in practice. At month 7, Claire called with another decision. She had been offered a permanent position in New York. This time I did not hide. I don't want you to take it, I said. She exhaled as if she had been waiting to hear those exact words, but I continued. I want to understand why you might. We talked for 2 hours. The job was excellent, better salary, national work, real influence. But when I asked what she wanted, Claire said, I want the work. I am not sure I want this life. Then she asked, would you ever move here? Old Noah would have answered in a way that protected her from considering me. I told the truth. If we decided this was where our life should be, yes, I would figure it out. She cried. So did I, although I blamed the lighting. 2 weeks later, Claire turned down the permanent position. She did not tell me what she did instead. For the final month of the fellowship, she became strangely secretive. Calls ended when coworkers entered rooms. She asked oddly specific questions about office leases in Portland. Once, Maya called me and immediately hung up after saying, forget I called. I began to worry. On the day Claire was supposed to come home, her flight landed at 4:10. At 5, she still had not appeared. At 5:07, my phone rang. Where are you? I asked. Turn around. I did. Claire stood 20 feet behind me with a suitcase, a garment bag, and tears in her eyes. I ran to her. When I lifted her off the floor, she laughed into my neck. You came back, obviously. Then why were you hiding? Because I wanted to see how long it took you to panic. 7 minutes. You were terrible. She reached into her coat and handed me a folded document. Calder and Rowe had approved a new West Coast Community Engagement Program. Director, Claire Dawson, based in Portland. I stared at her. You created a job? I proposed one. Here? Here. My throat tightened. Claire touched my face. Listen carefully. I did not come back because you asked me to. I did not give up New York for you. I know. I came back because this is where I want my life. My work can grow here. My people are here. She smiled. And you are one of my people. I kissed her in the middle of the airport while travelers moved around us. For once, I did not care who was watching. Claire did not move back across the hall. She rented a place 12 minutes away because she wanted returning to Portland to be a choice, not a retreat into the life she had before. A year later, we moved into a small craftsman house in southeast Portland. It had a room for her office, a detached garage for my workshop, and doors we both respected. 2 years after the night of the gala, Claire called me upstairs while getting ready for another Alder Foundation dinner. When I entered the bedroom, I stopped. The blue dress, same one. Claire saw my face and laughed. Oh no. What? That stare. I have no idea what you mean. She turned in front of the mirror. What do you think? This time I was ready. I crossed the room and took her hand. You look like the woman who almost moved 3,000 miles away because I was too scared to tell her the truth. That is not technically a compliment. I'm building toward one. I reached into my jacket and pulled out a small walnut box I had made myself. Claire's breath caught. Noah, I opened it. The ring was simple, exactly the way she liked things that mattered. Before I knelt, I asked, "Do you still hate dating neighbors?" She started laughing and crying at the same time. Absolutely. Good. I went down on one knee. Because I don't want to be your neighbor. Her hand covered her mouth. I want to be the person you come home to. I want the career decisions, the missed flights, the terrible movies, the hard conversations, and the mornings when neither of us has anything interesting to say. My voice shook. I do not want your life to become smaller so I can fit inside it. I want us to keep building a bigger one together. Claire was crying openly now. Will you marry me? Yes. No hesitation, no careful pause, just yes. I stood, slid the ring onto her finger and kissed her. A minute later, she rested her forehead against mine. Do you know what I was thinking the first night I wore this dress? What? I had already decided that if you looked at me like I was only your neighbor, I would accept New York, leave, and finally stop waiting for you. My chest tightened. And then? She smiled. Then you stared at me like you had forgotten every word in the English language. Accurate, and I knew I had not imagined us. I touched her cheek. We almost missed this. Yes, because I thought silence was respect. And I thought hints were communication. Both terrible systems. Completely. Downstairs, my phone buzzed with a reminder that we were going to be late. Claire glanced toward the door. We should go. I caught her hand. She looked back. I love you, I said. Her smile softened. I love you too. No saving important things for emergencies. Still our rule. She squeezed my hand. Then we walked downstairs together. At the front door, Claire stopped and looked at me. Still staring? I looked at the woman beside me, at the blue dress that had once exposed everything I was afraid to say, and at the ring now shining on her hand. Yes? Good. This time I did not look away. And there was no suitcase waiting outside the door. If this story reminded you of someone worth being honest with, take that as your sign not to let fear speak for you. Like, subscribe, and tell me in the comments. What truth would you say if you knew silence could cost you love?